It's day 5 of our 9-day Greek cruise. Welcome to Rhodes.
And we're in Rhodes. So the ship is docked in port, literally just outside the walls of the old city, and it's supposed to be a five-minute walk to the walls of the old city. There are a bunch of taxis stationed out here. If you want to take a taxi somewhere, you can go ahead and do that. Otherwise, we are gonna find our way to the city. And I can see the old wall straight ahead that way. So I'm assuming it should just be a little walk that way. Hello. No, we're good. No, we're good. Thank you. No, good. Thank you. Gotta say they're really pushing the taxis hard. Just note, also when you walk out of the port, there are a whole bunch of local rent-a-car stands. So the normal guys are there, Hertz, Avis, a couple local ones, Greek local taxi companies. But yeah, if you continue walking along the water, you will see the first gate to enter the city, which is directly in front of us there. It is, I don't know the name of the gate. We'll look up the name of the gate and add it in the video edit. Alright, so as we walk, we'll just talk a little bit about Rhodes. So Rhodes is a medieval city here, or the old town of Rhodes. It's a World Heritage Site and one of the most visited destinations in all of Europe. In 1332 BC, Rhodes became part of the growing empire that belonged to Alexander the Great. He actually defeated the Persians here, and that was the last time the world would ever see the Persians and the Persian Empire. Hercules actually is worshipped here in Rhodes. I'm pretty sure at some point in time we'll see some statues dedicated to Hercules and some art. But in the meanwhile, the city, or the medieval city, is full of these archways and plants and flowers and gates and cobblestone streets and stone walls, and definitely somewhere different. Definitely feels like we're somewhere different.
So they have these maps scattered around the city, and they're actually pretty good. They have points of interest that you may find interesting.
So it's still fairly early in the morning and we want to grab a little snack. So we found this place called the Socrates Garden, which is in Old Town Rhodes. It's an outdoor cafe and it looked really cool. So we're gonna go grab something to eat.
Alright, so we have a Frito cappuccino. I guess it's iced cappuccino. And I got a Greek coffee and a chocolate crepe with ice cream. And it really just took maybe 5 minutes or so to come out very quickly. But yeah, I'm about to go dig in.
The Suleymaniye Mosque was originally built in the year 1522. Today it serves as a museum which you can book tickets to and tour. A fascinating place to visit just across from the mosque is the Hafiz Ahmed Agha Library, which contains over 1,200 Muslim manuscripts, and most valuable, a Quran that dates back to the year 1540.
Okay, so this is the Roloi Clock Tower. It was originally constructed at the end of the 7th century and is now in the medieval town in Rhodes, one of the top sightseeing places here.
So
And
you can climb to the top. They say it's the best view of the old town. There is a charge. We're gonna confirm what the charge is, and I believe included with the ticket you get a free drink.
yes. And so it was originally built in, I guess, constructed in the 7th century, and then rebuilt in 1853 after an explosion.
So a bit about the tower. The tower is about 4 stories high. It is extremely hot in the tower. There's no air conditioning or anything like that. You climb, for every story that you climb, there is a small landing with windows, which is what you see here. So we're actually standing on that landing right now and just peering out the window. It's a small window, so you have to crouch, and you really can't stand up straight if you're taller than 5'5" or so. But it does give pretty good views of the surrounding area until you make it up to the top.
The top of the tower is a relatively small space with 4 small windows. So we spent about 3 minutes there, and now we're going to make our way down.
This is a quick view of the landing area on the 2nd story of the tower, but take a look at the stairs. You'll see a lot of people coming up and a lot of people going down, and it is a narrow stairwell, and we did run into issues trying to get down because there were just so many people coming up that we all couldn't fit on the stairs. We actually had to wait here a few minutes, so be wary of that. As more people are in the tower, it is very difficult to navigate. So earlier in the video, we referenced a free drink as part of the tower ticket. This is the bar just outside of the tower. They have alcoholic drinks, they have tea, coffee, soft drinks, pretty wide array or pretty wide selection of what you can get. So definitely worth the €5. The Street of the Knights may be one of the more historical medieval parts of Old Rhodes Town, but at the same time it's probably one of the more underwhelming parts. The medieval road is about 600 meters long. It starts in front of the Knights Hospital, which is today the Archaeological Museum, and it leads all the way down to the Grand Master's Palace, both of which are places we plan to visit during this trip and share some video with you. To understand the allure of visiting this attraction, this medieval street, we kind of have to go back to the history of Rhodes, and I'm just going to quickly paraphrase. So essentially, during the Crusades, Rhodes was a middle point between the Holy Land where the wars were taking place and then Europe, and you had these knights representing 7 different tongues or languages or places of birth, which include England, France, Germany, Italy, Aragon, Auvergne, and Provence. And they would stop in Rhodes and they would spend some time before continuing their journey either to the Holy Land or leaving the Holy Land. And there were inns or palaces that were created along this street, and the knights would parade up and down this street as they went to the various inns. Personally, I imagine it as an episode of Game of Thrones where you're watching the army and the knights and the those on horseback kind of just ride through the streets, and everyone's along the sides kind of watching as best you could anyway. That's what I imagine here. So that's the allure of this particular street, but usually you want to walk up this street toward the Palace of the Grand Masters.
So just showing you the difference between 9 o'clock this morning and 12:30 right now. It's gotten a bit more crowded.
There's a souvenir store right outside the street of the Grand Masters where you can get magnets for $1, or not $1, but €1. That's the cheapest price I've seen for magnets so far on this Greek trip, and they have magnets covering all the cities: Rhodes, Athens, Santorini, Mykonos. So if you don't pick up any magnets anywhere else and you're looking for a good spot, Rhodes, just outside the street of the Grand Masters, €1 magnets.
So just out in the open, when you walk down the Street of the Knights, make a left, you'll see this, the Temple of Aphrodite. It dates back to the 3rd century BC.
So as Sierra said, we made a left from the Street of the Knights. We actually exited Old Town Roads through the wall, through the Freedom Gate, and we're now making our way north toward Eli or Eli Beach.
Alright, so right by the roads and windmills, there are a bunch of boats that you can take if you want to take a short kind of cruise on your stopover. And there are also daily cruises to Lindos from here.
Paparazzi.
Alright, so here we are by the harbor, and you'll see by the columns there, that is where it is believed that the Colossus of Rhodes was. And it was about 100 feet tall, or 33 meters, and each foot was on a column over there, and it's considered one of the ancient wonders of the world.
A bit more history on the Colossus of Rhodes. In 226 BC, a major earthquake hit Rhodes, and that caused the statue to crack or tumble by the knees, and it fell in, well, they say it fell onto dry land. Looking at the harbor, maybe there wasn't water here back then, but maybe it fell in water, maybe it fell on dry land. But it toppled over, and it would be really cool if you could still see parts of it in the water, but I don't think you can. But this is where it once stood. This is a major tourist stop or destination. There's nothing to see, but I think it's a moment to reflect on something that once stood here, a wonder of the world. It's been referenced in Game of Thrones. It's been referenced in Lost. If you're fans of Lost, you remember that they had a statue at the entrance of a bay. In fact, I think Jacob used to live, and that statue toppled over, and Jacob lived in the foot or something of that sort. So, yep, this is Rhodes, and straight ahead, across from the statues, is the beach, actually. Eli Beach, I think it's called. So we're gonna go check that out next. It's about a 30-minute walk from the cruise port. So 30 minutes from the port to the beach, and along the way, again, you see where the Colossus of Rhodes once stood. You see where the windmills were, and this area is outside of the walled city. So we're now outside of old Rhodes and the walled city, and more on the harbor.